Hello and welcome to another standard video here in the new Avatar metagame. Today we're checking out the most powerful version of the Blue-Red Lessons deck. This is the version that dominated the most recent World Championships, and it's a build that's trying to exploit Artist talents alongside Monument to Endurance, which is a combo I've explored in plenty of decks in the past and always liked it a lot, and now it's found a great home in this Lessons deck. The Artist talent says whenever we cast a non-creature spell, we may discard a card. If we do draw a card, can also maybe get it to level 2 to now discount our non-creature spells by 1. Don't usually get it to level 3. And then Monument to Endurance says whenever we discard a card, we get to choose one of these 3 modes that hasn't been chosen this turn, between drawing a card, making a treasure, or making each opponent lose 3 life. Usually we start by drawing cards, maybe make some treasures. Once we're ready to close out the game, we can repeatedly make the opponent lose 3 life, maybe by triggering Monument in our turn, and once again in the opponent's turn. So especially with multiple copies, we can close out the game very quickly. And the deck can very quickly snowball once it generates enough of a mana discount with Artist Talent or with a Gran-Gran. This 1 mana 1/2 says whenever it becomes tapped, we get to draw and then discard a card. Also a great way to trigger the Monument. And non-creature spells get a 1 mana discount as long as we have 3 or more Lessons in our graveyard. This deck is constantly casting a lot of cheap Lessons, and we're also drawing and discarding more Lessons, so we can very quickly enable Gran-Gran's discount. And with 3 or more Lessons in the graveyard, we can also enable Accumulate Wisdom, which can now draw 3 cards. So with the 1 mana discount, a single blue to draw 3 is just Ancestral Recall, which is one of the best cards in Magic's history. And otherwise, if we don't have those 3 Lessons, we still get to look at the top 3 and put 1 card in hand. So the Accumulate Wisdom also very nice with the Artist Talent and Monument engine, since we want to be playing a more controlling game where we get to drag out the game, cast a lot of removal spells, since the rest of our deck is pretty much all removal, so we can hopefully eventually win the game with lots of Monument triggers. The Storm Chaser's Talent is also a solid backup plan, making a 1/1 Otter token with Prowess, and we have lots of ways to trigger Prowess to get in for a ton of damage. We also want to often level up the talent to level 2 at least, where we now get to return an instant or sorcery from our graveyard back to our hand, so we can maybe get back a removal spell or maybe a draw 3. And then occasionally we might get it to level 3, although that doesn't come up too often. And then Storm Chaser's Talent, as you may know by now, very powerful alongside Boomerang Basics, a sorcery speed lesson that can return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand, but if we controlled that permanent, we also get to draw a card. So a sorcery speed bounce spell for opposing permanents can be okay, but the real exciting part is if we start bouncing our own Storm Chaser's Talent, can cheaply redeploy it, trigger Prowess, make more Otter tokens, or maybe first level up the talent and then bounce it for maximum value. And then rounding out the deck, of course, we need a bunch more Lessons to make sure the deck functions. Firebending Lesson, a great removal spell, dealing 2 damage to a creature, can kick it for 5 damage instead. Then that's 2 mana. We also have the Combustion Technique, which scales with the number of Lessons in our graveyard, and then can deal even more damage, exiling a creature in the process. Iroh's Demonstration can either deal 1 to each creature the opponent controls or 4 to 1 creature, so the flexibility is nice, especially for facing a bunch of 1/1 Otter tokens or maybe a bunch of Llanowar Elves from the opponent. And then Abandon Attachments is another way for us to discard and draw at instant speed, which can also be a way of enabling the Monument, even if we do not have our Artist Talent or maybe a Gran-Gran online, which can help us discard and draw more easily. And then the mana base also includes 1 Agna Kella, which can also activate to draw and discard, which is maybe another way to activate our Monuments, even if we're already empty-handed, so that's another nice bonus. Otherwise, plenty of basic lands. The River Power Verge initially only makes red, which is why we have more islands in the deck as well. Spire Bluff, luckily still in standard. Multiversal Passage, for now a necessary evil. Once Lorwyn releases, we can pretty easily replace it with Steam Vents instead. So yeah, that's the deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play with a functional hand. Turn 1, a Gran-Gran can clear a path with a Demonstration, and hopefully find a Monument to go with the Artist's Talent. Gran-Gran, not a disaster if you draw multiples, since you can always discard a copy. Opponent also on a Lesson deck, presumably. Let's go for an Artist's Talent to be more mana efficient here. Can also think about leveling it up to get a discount from Gran-Gran, but have it less susceptible to removal. Talent's interesting too now. I think I still just level up. Also don't know yet if her opponent's on a version with It'll Quench Ya. As her opponent discards a land to the attachments. So 2 lessons in the graveyard so far. Opponent will bounce a talent to reset it. And play their own talent. Fair enough. Can always clear a bunch of 1/1s with the demonstration if we time it appropriately. For now I'm gonna replay the talent first. Can play my own and then maybe play Gran-Gran as well. Or we can discard Gran-Gran because odds of it surviving are pretty low. Opponent might have another firebending lesson. Torture Tower instead. So they may not be on the artist's talent build of lessons, but they will get to draw 3. So hoping to catch more than 1 otter with a demonstration. So ideally they tap out. Alright, tap land, so that'll work. So this turn I have options. Kind of just like a level up talents and then cast demonstration, discarding the technique. So I add another lesson to the graveyard for wisdom. Had I drawn a lesson, I would have been able to immediately set up the wisdom to draw 3. Now I'll wait. Another talent. Having more lands than the opponent's also relevant once we start leveling up the Storm Chaser's talent. Alright, found a lesson. So now I could cast Wisdom, discard lesson, draw 3. That seems like a good starting point. Okay. And then now what am I interested in? Don't actually hate play another talent and level it up. We're not under a ton of pressure, so we have time to set up here. And hope to draw another monument soon. Maybe get rid of the lesson. Basics can always bounce the talents to get back or draw 3. So, want to wait to level up before I bounce. Good demonstration just for a single otter token. I'll wait. Opponents got their own talents, so they're on the monument builds after all. I can play a monument for 1 mana if I draw it. So for now it's going to be a level up talent. Try to get back, accumulate wisdom. Discard land. There's a monument. And then now I could just decline, could discard the demonstration. Alright, so could play the monument. Hope they don't quench it. That's reasonable, or I can pass. Let's try it. And now I could stay put. So I've already played land for a turn. Yeah, I guess we'll just pass. Could also basics the talent right now. Discard Gran-Gran. Go for treasure or lose 3. I guess we'll go for the damage. Try and get the game over with. Have enough cards in hand where I may want the extra mana. And we have another accumulate wisdom, so I can cast this in the opponent's turn, trigger double talent, trigger monument again. And then it's just a matter of closing out the game before my opponent does. Opponent's got their own monument. I think that's fine. I guess I could still respond with Wisdom. So I can maybe make a treasure and then still respond to the prowess trigger with a technique or firebending lesson. Definitely want to make my opponent lose 3. Yeah, at this point I can just cast a technique. There's not going to be a ton of huge creatures I need to worry about. And then let's technique the Otter. 26 cards remain. Do still need to find an extra monument to maybe speed up the kill. Opponent's gonna take out their own Otter just to trigger the talent, I guess. And then this can still draw. Found the monument. Alright, and then discard. I mean, at this point I can stay put. And then with double monuments, I can deal 6 in my turn, 6 again in their upkeep. So that should do it. And there's Gran-Gran, a little late to the party. And yeah, opponent knows what's incoming here, since we're playing a mirror match after all. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw with a fine hand. Have the monuments, ideally find our artist's talent to go with it. And in the meantime we have some interaction. Boomerang Basics does get a lot better if we can combine it with a Storm Chaser's talent. Keep up our firebending lesson. Opponent blue-whites. Looks like the artifact deck. Alright, this one could be tough. It's not like we have any board wipes, and once their tokens get large enough, it's going to be hard for us to answer them. So, might have to accumulate wisdom just to try and find an artist's talent to begin with. Authority I don't care about. And the Enigma Jewel, fair enough. I don't think I have the luxury of waiting to get more lessons. Found the talent at least. Let's try Monument for now. Going talent plus Storm Chaser's talent was also reasonable to maybe level this up before we cast a Monument to Endurance. Now repurposing Bay can also maybe tutor up an answer to the Monument to Endurance. Although the basics can always interfere. It's going to be a synthesizer from our opponent, so that's something we could bounce. So I can go Artist's Talents. And then Boomerang Basics, bounce Synthesizer. Discarding probably the Firebending lesson at this point. And Monuments could get aggressive, make the opponent lose 3 life. They are at 22, so we've got a long way to go, so I might still have to accumulate more resources first. And then play Gran-Gran, discount is active. Yeah, I can only buy myself so much time with the Boomerang Basics. At least Monument and Talent are safe from getting exiled by a Stark Age, only hits Gran-Gran and even the opponent's Enigma Jewel. So that turn was not too bad for us. So, can think about leveling up the Talent as well. Yeah, if I level up Talent, I can Wisdom for 1 mana. And maybe find another Monument. Let's try it. There's nothing I absolutely need to bounce right now with the Boomerang Basics. So I'm still probably drawing a card. Okay, found another Gran-Gran. We'll gain the opponent 2 more life. But Yeah, I think I'm fine to go for it. Alternatively, play the talent. It's just that Gran-Gran can maybe help us loot for free to trigger Monument once again. And ideally I can play talent and level it up in the same turn, so if they have removal for talent, I still get additional value. Opponent replays Synthesizer. They don't have any 2-mana artifact to sack to Repurposing Bay, but they could sack the Star Cage, I suppose, to get the Fire Crystal, which they're somewhat likely to have. Alright, so now I need to put on the pressure. I can trigger all 3 modes of Monument, and then maybe once again in the opponent's turn. So talent level up is also a consideration. I can bounce the Synthesizer as opposed to bouncing the talent. But yeah, let's start here. Try and find another Monument to Endurance. Authority triggers. Yeah, I think I still need to bounce the Synthesizer here. Or I could attack first, I suppose. Found another talent. So I can play this one. Discard land, I think. Make a treasure. And then bounce Synthesizer. Could also wait to bounce a token from Synthesizer, but the problem is if Fire Crystal's involved, I could just die on the spot. Finding a combustion technique would be useful, since that can maybe still answer a larger token. I don't think I need a third talent, but maybe Demonstration's worse. Alright, I found another Monument. That's useful. I think talent can go. Alright, there's a combustion technique. And then I guess I pass. Could try and fully enable the Monument right now, but I mean, maybe it's still worth it. Abandon attachments. Discard the lesson. Find another one. And then I get to draw. And then talent triggers, discarding Gran-Gran. Trigger Monument again. And now I can make them lose 3 life. Discard, draw again, find another Monument. Alright, kinda doing it here. Make a treasure, cast another Monument. Discards, well, I guess I can wait now. And then pass. Or I can abandon attachments. Although if I wait, I get more value out of all 3 Monuments in case I can't cast more instants. Sawblades wants to take out Gran-Gran. Opponent can sack it to the Repurposing Bay. But I guess in response, we may as well do this. Discard the lesson. And then I would like to hang on to the technique. So draw. Lose 3. Lose 3? Sure. Gran-Gran can go. Find another technique. Lose 3. Make a treasure, or... yeah, at this point we should be fine on cards. Although maybe I don't want to go too much on the treasures in case my opponent has another Star Cage. And sure, one technique can go. Alright, so we fully enable the Monuments. Gran-Gran down. And then in my turn I can deal another 9 points, and the Otter can maybe finish them off. Yeah, this deck lets you perform a lot of game actions, and it's pretty efficient at doing so. So with double authority, don't want to play another talent, I guess, if I can avoid it. So I could just boomerang basics, bounce synthesizer. Not gonna need combustion technique anymore since this game's over. And our opponent scoops it up. Alright, sweet. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a fine hand. Might be Gran-Gran beatdown to start out, since we can clear a path to keep looting to fill the graveyard and get the discount. Opponent blue-white. Might be control. Alright, let's get in for one. And demonstration can maybe go. Still gonna play the talent here. It is Jeskai. Pyroclasm's a nice answer. Okay, so need to keep digging. Maybe abandon attachments main phase. May not need combustion technique. Puts an extra lesson in the graveyard as well. Found another Gran-Gran. Could be worth a try. So the discount is active. Next turn I can level up talent. Have not found any of our engine cards yet. And Lightning Helix takes care of Gran-Gran. Alright, so I guess I can just level up the talents. Get back my abandoned attachments. There's a lot of ways to build a Jeskai deck nowadays. Needlehead points towards a more aggressive build. So I could try combustion technique, although opponent does have no more lies mana up. So I could take my draw step first. Play a land and then combustion technique just to make sure that Needlehead is dealt with. Although it would also be nice to resolve the talent. Did not seem like they had an instant in hand, so I think I still risk it here with Artist's Talent. Soul Guide Lantern, yeah, that can certainly slow down some of our synergies. But it's not game over, we already got value of our talent. And sometimes we can discard enough lessons where it's hard for Lantern to keep up. So can expect our opponent to have Shiko, which can also get back a stock up out of the graveyard. Can also look into putting my Stormchaser's Talent to level 3 to start making more 1/1s and hope they can't get losted. Because once Stormchaser's Talent is at level 2, unless I bounce it with Boomerang Basics, it doesn't have a ton of value for me. So I might prefer putting a bullseye on Stormchaser's Talent as opposed to the Artist's Talent, which long term might be more important. So yeah, I'm kind of down. And then next turn I can consider discarding Gran-Gran since it's unlikely to survive. But it's going to stock up again. And Needlehead once again. That is now pretty scary since we don't have an answer lined up. Okay, so have a few options. Can level up Artist's Talent, cast a 1-mana attachments, and then try and find a burn spell that way. Still discarding Gran-Gran. Found a monument. That's our win condition. So I think I let go of the basics. And Accumulate Wisdom is online. Although with a Needlehead, drawing 3 is pretty painful. So I guess we'll just get the monument down for now. And then I think I stay put. Might have to bounce the Needlehead, we'll see. Possible they have answers to our artifact. And I guess, never mind, this one only triggers off instants and sorceries, so did not get another otter from a monument, sadly. But we'll get there. Okay, take my draw. So let's start with basics on Needlehead. Fine to discard Mountain. Find another talent, and probably want to avoid drawing while the Needlehead's still in play. Let's make them lose 3 life. So if I accumulate Wisdom, my opponent could sack Lantern in response, which is fine. So now we get to rebuild our graveyard. Talent number 2, not super necessary, but I guess we get another monument trigger this way. Now I can draw and find abandoned attachments. Got 1 mode left to try and exploit. Also have to watch out for a sweeper on the opponent's side, so having double attachments to maybe grow my otters at instant speed could be relevant. So I think I'm just gonna attack for 3, see what happens, and pass a turn. And if they have another Pyroclasm, I can save my otters. Ultima. That one's painful, since that also deals with the monument. Yeah, I don't think I respond, even though I could get another monument trigger out of it. Feels like I want the otters from my abandoned attachments. So then, yeah, the turn's gonna end, so there's nothing else I can do. Just gotta find another monument. So I'll start here. Firebending Lesson, a fine answer to the Needlehead. And then, what do I discard? I guess another abandoned attachments at this point, since talent can get back accumulate wisdom as well. Discards demonstration, I think. And let's level up now. Okay. So trying to get there with Otter Token Beatdown. Bonus looking at the graveyard, so they might have drawn Shiko. Yep. Probably going for a stock up. Nope, gets back the Lantern. So that'll shut down the Accumulate Wisdom again. Can also kick a Firebending Lesson to deal with Shiko. Needlehead's back. Before taking my draw step, cast Lesson. And then, do I discard anything to the talents? I don't think so. Draw land. So what I could do is accumulate wisdom, force my opponent to exile my graveyard, and then I can still kick a Firebending Lesson and hope they don't have a counterspell left. Sure. And with a discount, I can get rid of the land here. Find a technique. Yeah, the level 3 talent is doing some work. And get you for 8. So they need another board wipe. And then we still have some good tools available. Stock up is going to try and find it. Still have 3 monuments left and 27. Pyroclasm would be pretty good now. Maybe Shiko to get it back. Ultima again. Alright. Get to untap. I think I'm down to play another Artist's Talent first. Discards a land. There's a monument, perfect. Do I want to level up to get another 1 mana discount? I don't think that's necessary. Just play the monuments. Can stay put for now, since running out of cards could be a concern. And then now I can loot with a monument in play. Can draw a card. Discard islands. Make them lose 3 life. And then I could boomerang basics back the talent that's already on level 2. Get some more triggers. Make a treasure. And then I already have enough pressure in play, I feel. So I don't think I'm going to cast anything else right now. Can always Firebending Lesson just to trigger the monument again. A Needlehead we can answer. And a Helix goes face, so they're on the burn plan. Okay. I maybe should have cast a lesson in response, but it's not like I would have been able to win the game on the spot. Spirit Water Revival, I see. Yeah, pretty good. But let's deal with the Needlehead now while we can. Let's not take more damage. Opponent draws 2. And I think we've got it here. Can do a few different things, but can play Talent to trigger Prowess. And ditch a Combustion Technique. Opponent loses 3 life. They had another Lightning Helix, fair enough. Actually considered keeping the technique in hand to take out my own Otter token to deny the life gain. But that's alright. So we're hitting for enough here if I just trigger Prowess one more time. And there we have it, so long grindy game against Jeskai Control. They had some pretty nice answers against the Lesson deck with Ultima to deal with Monuments, the various Graveyard Hate cards with Lantern and Shiko getting it back. They had Pyroclasm to deal with Altars. But at the end of the day, we saw almost our entire deck with all this extra card draw that it didn't matter. We still found the right answers. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a fine hand. Turn 1. Think I like Gran-Gran over Stormchaser's Talents. Would maybe be different if I had Boomerang Basics in hand and I could immediately bounce it. Also don't have a double blue yet. Okay, opponent on aggro with a Grease Wrench Goblin. Can take it out with Arrow's Demonstration. Yeah, that's probably fine. Could also save this for a larger creature, but I kind of just want to clear a path for Gran-Gran. So we can keep filling the graveyard with more lessons. Firebending lesson I do want to keep. Maybe abandoned attachments can go. Keep the talents. So red-white burn. I don't think Gran-Gran's likely to stick around, but for now a Hired Claw and a Burst Lightning. Fair enough. So I can play either Storm Chaser or Artist's Talent. Let's go for the more mana efficient play. And then safest would be to lessen now in case they can shock me and pump the Hired Claw in response. Slick shots I do need to find an answer to. Now I can level up talents, play talents. That's better. And next turn I can maybe level up Storm Chaser's talent and get back a removal spell and still cast it. But we are exposed to the Slick Shot this turn. 2 cards left. Plasma Bolt for starters, that's fine. We're happy to play a long controlling game, so if they're trading removal for my creatures, I'm happy. Okay, so level up talents and then get back. Doesn't matter too much, could go for Iro's Demonstration on the off chance that they have a pump spell. Since we have the discount from talent. Maybe slightly sketchy if our opponent somehow had a Get Lost, which could destroy my enchantment in response. So I no longer have the discount. Boomerang Basics, nice with a talent. Still need to find either our Monument or perhaps a Accumulate Wisdom would be nice. Oh. There we go, Accumulate Wisdom. Don't have to discard anything to the talent, since I don't mind keeping the basics. Alright, there's the Monument. So what makes sense now? If I play Gran-Gran, I can play 1 mana Monument. That seems like a good starting point. Talent can discard a land, maybe find a removal spell. And then Boomerang Basics bounce Storm Chaser's Talent, probably. And now Monuments probably wants to draw first. Find another Gran-Gran, cast Talents, making sure to leave a red in case I draw into another burn spell I can cast. I'll save Gran-Gran for 1 more turn, but can discard her later. And then I think I value the treasure more than my opponent losing 3 for now. Okay, so I can go for another Artist's Talent, I suppose, and then next turn we'll see a ton of cards. Alright, found the lesson. So, could try and cast it now. Could wait for my opponent to maybe trigger Prowess and then response. Since they could have another instant in hand, so then if I'm the one making the first move I get punished. And this way I can also maybe pump the other token to set up a better block. So Challenger gets into the red zone. Yeah, I guess before blockers I can lessen and see what their response is. The only drawback here is that I wouldn't be discarding anything, so I don't get any value of the talent. But I guess that's fine. Next turn I can level up the Storm Chaser's talent anyway. And we also have the land with the activated ability to loot. Our opponent did have a Lightning Helix left over, as it turns out. So now I would have to trade for Gran-Gran, which I'm willing to do. Alright, found another monument. So if I level this up, I can cast it for 1 mana, but I wouldn't get any triggers. So instead, I think I play it for 2 and then just activate the land. Sadly, Accumulate Wisdom's gone, but now I can pick it up with a talent as well. So let's say we just draw 2 cards. Another Accumulate Wisdom. Going for 1 card and 1 treasure also would have been reasonable. But yeah, we're still at a very healthy life total, so I'm not too concerned. And with double monument, we can close out the game rather quickly. Alright, so step 1, probably just accumulate wisdom. Can discard Firebending Lesson, maybe draw into a combustion technique. Demonstration also works a bit better. Start by drawing. Get some extra resources. Now I can make them lose some life. There's a technique. Alright, demonstration. And yeah, our opponent has seen enough, we're super far ahead now. And yeah, there we have it, so even against aggro, we can hold our own. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw with a functional hand. Got our early interaction to set up Accumulate Wisdom to hopefully draw 3. Opponent plotting Demonic Ruckus, so maybe more of an aura deck. Crash through, opponent cycles. Well, this is pretty much the ideal setup here. Bunch of instant speed removal to punish the aggro deck. Opponent plots another Ruckus and now Firebending Student. Could try to wait to take that out until they commit some more resources. For now, abandon attachments, maybe even discarding 1 Accumulate Wisdom, just to put more lessons in the graveyard. Alright. Not gonna go for monuments, since that would be leaving myself dead to the Firebending Student. Only have single red, so I guess I just go for Storm Chaser's Talent, and then Combustion Technique should keep me alive. Unless their opponent's got Redirect Lightning, which I guess I hadn't considered, so that's a reason to main phase remove the student. Yeah, you know what, since our hand's pretty stacked, I probably don't need to take any unnecessary risks. Redirect Lightning could just win them the game if they have the right set of cards in hand. So let me just use a demonstration as it's a sorcery speed answer. Now Accumulate can draw 3. Challenger is fine, even if they commit a few copies of Demonic Ruckus. Still well within range of a combustion technique. So I would like to hit my land drops. So I can do so with Accumulate Wisdom. Wow, did not actually get there. So now I'm a little short of taking out the Challenger with Combustion Technique, since I don't have the land for it, and Firebending Lesson's also not good enough. Well, might actually be in a bit of trouble now. So what do I discard? Probably 1 talent. Yeah, that's a bit unlucky, but let's see if we can still survive. That resolves. Finds a Felonious Rage. Another Crash Through for Trample. I'm hoping they're scared of a bounce spell and don't go all in. Burst Lightning Face. Sure. And go for Rage. That's 10. Well, not dead yet, but it's not looking good now. Still can't get the land, so I guess I have to go for technique, could wait at this point. Or I can abandon attachments, hope to hit a land. I mean, I'm super far behind, so I probably need to get lucky and draw the land now. Probably just gonna get burnt out. Alright, found the land at least. So does the auto attack? I don't think it does, in case I have another different haste creature. And by waiting, I'll be able to trigger prowess. But now they could have a redirect lightning, I suppose. Might of the Meekan response. Mouse down. Draw off Ruckus. Opponent plots another slick shot. So I need to keep up some more instant speed removal. But I also need to be able to progress my own plan. So it's tough to thread the needle here. I think I have to go for either Monument or Talents. Probably Talent first. Still gonna leave the Otter back, although I might be leaving some damage on the table. They could go double slick shots. Astronauts acceptable. Okay, so in response to the adventure, we can try Firebending Lesson and hope they don't have a way to pump toughness. Discard another Talents. Slick shot down. So this also fizzles the adventure. I get to untap. Alright, so we're slowly making progress. I think I level up Talents so I can more efficiently deploy the rest of my hand. And then I could just boomerang basics the Bastronauts. Just to buy myself a little bit of time. Even though ideally I would be picking up the Talents. And then I think I stay put. My hand's good, I just need time to deploy it. But yeah, at any point to kick Burst Lightning's game over, so don't have infinite time here. So play Monuments. Discard nothing yet. Don't mind casting another Talents. Trigger Monuments. Probably discarding another Monument actually, since I want a demonstration for Bastronauts and I want Lesson as an instant speed answer. And then now start by drawing. Now I can definitely discard a land. Still make a treasure for now. And then I could abandon attachments. Okay. Hit you for 5. Place Power Bluff and pass. Okay, and then no need to Firebending Lesson right now. Find Combustion Technique. So could level up the Talents. Is their opponent slow rolling, kick Burst Lightning? They would have just main phased it. And then abandon attachments versus accumulate wisdom. I guess we can accumulate wisdom. Cast it for 1 mana. Discard a land. Monument, make the opponent lose 3 life. Go to attackers. Can accumulate wisdom again. Okay, and that should just about do it. Wow. Well, did not expect to win this game after kind of getting stuck on lanes initially and yeah, almost dying, but luckily enough our opponent did not have the burn spells to get the job done. So I'll take it. Well, this blue-red monument version of the lesson deck seems to be the most powerful build of the lesson deck that I've seen so far, of course putting up great results in the World Championship as well, so it's no surprise that it also translates into Best of 1 Arena. Although, of course, you can expect to maybe face more hate cards going forward if the deck becomes more popular. Graveyard hate, like Rest in Peace, might even see some main deck play to shut down the graveyard decks as well as the lesson decks. And artifact removal is also maybe going to see an increased amount of play to take out the monument. And then this deck is not left with a ton of win conditions, so then it might have to pivot and find some more ways to close out the game, because it's definitely very good at drawing cards. But of course, if the opponent is able to answer most of your monuments and auto tokens, you don't have a ton of ways left. But yeah, for now, I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.